that momentum from that 4th place finish at Daytona here. Looks like they've done that.
So move Allgaier up to 12th from his 15th starting position. His next target is Trevor Bayne. As we take a look from high above, and you can see the gap. It's now 0.2 of a second back to 3rd. That's what it looks like from high in the sky.
When you figure out where I am, I'll be somewhere else and you'll...
Working lap 14 of the Staterbros 300 here at Auto Club Speedway in California, and we've had another lead change as Joey Logano has gotten back around Kyle Busch, and you can see the margin. And we were listening on the radio, and this is what the conversation was on the radio with Kyle Busch.
Thing feels funny, feels inconsistent. It almost feels like a right rear's going down, but I don't know. I have no comfort getting into one at all.
And if a guy with his experience has no comfort, that's got to be pretty wicked.
Yeah, you think so if Kyle Busch is not comfortable, because he can hang it out there. But it's really kind of hard to be fast here and be comfortable getting into turn 1.
Yeah, we showed earlier and talked earlier about how difficult it is, fastest part of the racetrack down into turn 1. And if your car is not exactly right, then you have to be careful. We showed you how hard you can hit, and these other guys are aware of that. So now's the time just to kind of take it easy and fill that out.
1.3 seconds the lead right now between 1st and 2nd. Let's get an update from Dr. Jerry Punch on the 18.
Hey guys, you know, Kyle Busch said when he qualified the car was very, very free, but he knew the car would get better as the race progressed because the smaller stagger they got here would allow the car to tighten up very quickly. Now he moved on the bottom of the racetrack and took the lead from Logano, but then the rear of the car started getting free again, which led to that comment you heard a moment ago about the possibility of having a tire going down. So far, no more comments from Kyle. Dave.
Now, Doc, we did see Kyle pass pole sitter Joey Logano early on. Checked with the crew, and it was definitely because Joey's car was a little bit loose. The back end wanted to come around on that car more than Joey was comfortable with. That's actually good news for his new crew chief, Kevin Kidd. Kevin told me this morning, he said, I expect our car to be a little bit tight. What I'm hoping for is it will start the run just a little bit loose and come to him through the progression of the run. And that appears to be what's happening. Bad news, Marty, for everybody else.
Yeah, that would be, Dave. Thanks for the update there. Let's also update the fact Danny Eflin has taken it behind the wall. So we have our 3rd car out of the event. Taking a look at the 3rd place battle, that's Greg Biffle and Brian Scott. And Brian Scott in that 11 car, remember, now, this is a young man who came up from the Truck Series, broke his wrist last June at Michigan, and it is still not healed properly. He wears a cast that's removable, but he says he's still in some discomfort. They're going to try and do something after the Las Vegas race next week. Otherwise, he's going to drive with it that way the rest of the year. That won't be comfortable. Let's check in on Danica Patrick, because there she is, and just about ready to go 1 lap down. She is in 40th position now. And you're wondering, what about other former IndyCar drivers who came over to their first start here as she gets ready to get past? There is the difference in the laps. 170 for the leader. Joey Logano coming up on her right side. Look out, Danica.
Yeah, that's basically about 2 seconds a lap is what she's off the pace right now. So they're going to have to work on the car, and as she gets a little more comfortable with it, try to make some adjustments and get better throughout this day.
Well, we talked about the other IndyCar standouts who came over and ran nationwide races here at California. There it is. Dario Franchitti in 08 finished 24th. He started 22nd. Sam Hornish Jr., who won here twice in an IndyCar, finished 35th in 07. Same race in 07, 39th place finish for Juan Montoya.
Yeah, I was just talking. Okay. Let's go down and talk to Jamie. Okay.
Well, you guys mentioned Juan Pablo Montoya. He actually spent about an hour with Danica last night just talking to her about this racetrack, and he actually came out before she got in the car today and wished her luck, and he told me, I can't believe she's getting her start on a track this size. I started on short tracks. He said she has a lot of courage, and I think she's going to be fine. Now, Danica knows that today is going to be a learning process, so she's just feeling the car out. She just said the first thing on the radio all day, she said, I have to watch the rear coming out of 4. And of course, guys, the team is waiting and listening. They want to make this car better and make up spots on pit road today.
Yeah,
that's what the day is really about, making it better, understanding the racetrack and these race cars. This is a difficult racetrack for everybody, as we see battle for second as Greg Biffle's caught Kyle Busch here.
And they're both trying to get around Dan. Whoa, and I don't know if she saw him or spotted or let him know. The one other thing we should point out, she did race here in an Indy car back in '05, but with an Indy car, you run this course flat-footed and you're right on the bottom of the racetrack. Nothing sliding like this.
Nah, there's no comparison. I've never driven an Indy car, but I know that, the downforce they make, how light they are, the wider tires, there's just nothing that's going to transfer over. This is as hard as it's going to get for her right now.
Yeah, one of the issues for her is how far can you take that car? It's not comfortable. Okay, how far can I slide that rear? She doesn't want to tear it up. She wants to get plenty of experience, but she doesn't know exactly where that limit is. She doesn't want to tear it up, like I said, so she's going to have to experiment with that all day long.
Well, you saw that Greg Biffle had gotten around Kyle Busch, so Busch obviously has something wrong with his car. Here comes Kevin Harvick getting ready to go past Danica. He is in 5th place, trying to chase down Brian Scott, who is in 4th.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick, you saw go by Danica right there. His car looks really good. He's keeping it right on the bottom of the racetrack. That's where Kevin likes to run and tries to make his car work there all the time. Works well for him here.
We always talk about the limited sight lines compared to open wheel cars versus stock cars. Let's go back and show you this moment where Danica comes right up.
Yeah, this is where the track really flattens out off of turn 2, and not sure if she hadn't been told that the car was coming, or if her car just started losing the front end, which it'll do because the track really flattens out right there. Kyle Busch had to get out of the throttle.
Still outside. Still there.
That's what allowed Greg Biffle to take over the second spot.
So Danica continues 1 lap down now, as is Derek Cope, Brian Keselowski, Eric McClure, all 1 lap down. One thing we should point out, by lap 70, there were only 14 cars on the lead lap in this race last year. So it gives you an idea how fast the leaders can really truck around this 2-mile oval at Auto Club Speedway. You've got Joey Logano by 4.6 seconds over Greg Biffle after just 22 of 150 laps. Kyle Busch is 3rd, and young Brian Scott is 4th. Stay with us.
Just over 50 miles into today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler, and coming up later tonight on our motorsports calendar, the Lucas Slick Mist Nationals from Arizona, qualifying 2 a.m. Eastern tonight, ESPN2. The final 7 Eastern tomorrow, ESPN2. Pre-race edition of NASCAR Now before the Sprint Cup race here in California, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, ESPN2. And our Monday roundtable wrap-up of all the weekend's action, 5 Eastern Monday, ESPN2. Then it's on to Las Vegas next weekend. Our NASCAR Nationwide Series coverage presented by GoDaddy.com. That is next Saturday afternoon at 4 Eastern on ESPN2. Joey Logano is out in front, one of 2 drivers to have led the race so far today. Logano has led most of it. Kyle Busch paced 3 laps. Other than that, it's been Joey out in front for all of the 27 that have been completed so far. Let's take you up to speed and check in on some of the front runners now. David Burns, you're first.
And Ellen, the leader reports that his car is losing a little bit of front grip right now, but that doesn't seem to be holding him up too much. You know, when this team lost its crew chief, Dave Rogers, last year to move up to the Cup Series, everyone wondered who it was going to be that would take over. Kevin Kidd was the guy. He was laid off from one of the petty teams late last year, and he put his resume in, and he was one of the guys, he was chosen to be the crew chief on this car. It's been good for him so far, and he said, I'm just trying to keep going what they got started on this 20 team. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Well, Kyle Busch has won 2 of the last 3 times they have come to this racetrack, and folks led a total of 325 laps. The reason he's not leading right now is that the car is not comfortable in the corners. You heard him say a little bit ago he thought he had a tire going down. That is not the case. The car, though, leaning in the corner. They hope to be able to fix that by putting a rubber in the left rear and making a track bar adjustment on their first stop. Vince.
Brian Scott in the 11 car is running in 3rd and says the car's a little bit tight in 1 and 2, but it's pretty good in 3 and 4. Marty mentioned a little while ago that Scott's driving with a broken right hand, runs with that brace on the right hand. It limits his mobility a little bit, but that's more self-imposed than anything else, but he is pain-free, doesn't hinder his driving at all. Brian Scott having a good showing, 22 years old. He's running 3rd. Dave?
The Sprint Cup veteran Brian Vickers runs behind him in the 4th position. He started 7th today and has had a pretty good run except for 1 lap where he brushed the wall with the right rear of that car. Crew chief, actually spotter Chris Lambert took a look at when he came by and he told the driver, "You're all good," and Brian's kept going. Vince?
Running fifth is Greg Biffle